So we have about a month left in Season 12, which means that many of us are starting to look forward to the next seasonal offering in Destiny. Beyond Light was a much needed big drop of content, but personally, Season of the Hunt just hasn't been doing it for me. Hawkmoon is dope, Wrathborn hunts on the other hand, haven't evolved since their release, and feel very stagnant at the moment. All the more reason to look forward to whatever we get in Season 13. Well, what are we getting in Season 13 then? Bungie has been pretty tight-lipped in regards to what the season's going to look like, but we can piece together some information from articles and leaks to get a pretty decent idea of what we can expect to see. I'm going to break this video into two main parts. The first half will be covering confirmed information, stuff that we've been explicitly told is coming to the game in Season 13. The second half is going to be about things that are unconfirmed, mainly covering leaks and speculations. Sound good? Alright, let's get right into it. Starting off with the name of Season 13, we have very good reason to believe that it's going to be called Season of the Chosen. While we haven't heard this from Bungie themselves, prominent Destiny leaker Ginzor dropped this bombshell of a tweet a while back. This person has been digging in Destiny's files for a long time now, and was recently able to dig up models for both Hawkmoon and Glaciocasm, before anything official was released about them. So it's pretty safe to say that, unless something big happens internally at Bungie, we can expect to be calling the next season of Destiny, Season of the Chosen. Gives me Season of the Worthy vibes personally, but I guess we'll have to wait to see what being chosen means in the context of the story. Moving on to the content that's being confirmed for Season 13, a lot of this information is coming from Joe Blackburn's dev update article about rewards. The article was pretty all over the place and covered things that we likely aren't going to see until fall of this year, but there were some tidbits specifically about Season 13 that we can cover in this video. To kick things off, we're getting two new strikes. These are the Fallen Saber strike and the Devil's Lair strike. For those of you who don't know, these were Destiny 1 strikes that are being brought back, similar to how the Omnigul strike was handled when Beyond Light dropped. Both are located on the Cosmodrome, and I assume are going to be added to the regular strike playlist as well as the Nightfall rotation. Taking a closer look at each, the Fallen Saber strike is going to have us infiltrate a Warmind bunker and take down a big shank that's attempting to take control of Warmind satellites in orbit. Devil's Lair, on the other hand, has us fighting off waves of Hive and Fallen, and finally taking down a servitor boss known as Sepix Prime. Both of these strikes were great in Destiny 1, and I imagine they'll play just as well in Destiny 2. They use areas of the Cosmodrome that we don't have access to yet, so we can also expect to see these parts be added to the patrol zone for us to explore. In addition to new strikes, we're also getting some new strike loot, specifically for Nightfalls. There are 3 Destiny 1 weapons being reintroduced: Shadow Price, the Swarm, and the Palindrome. Shadow Price is a Vanguard auto rifle that was considered one of the better autos during D1's release. I'm excited to see how this version performs now that autos aren't terrible and can roll with some pretty interesting perks. Next, the Swarm is a Vanguard machine gun that frankly, I don't remember too much about. It's a good thing we're getting a new machine gun though, since the game has been lacking them due to sunsetting. Finally, the Palindrome is a Crucible hand cannon that I feel is going to be the best of the bunch. It was incredible for a legendary hand cannon in D1, so I can see it becoming part of the meta very quickly if given some solid perks. Why is a Crucible hand cannon being added to the Nightfall loot pool, you might ask? I have no clue, but I'm also not complaining. Legendary and Master Lost sectors are also getting some love. They're being expanded to include Moon Lost sectors, which means that there's going to be 4 more Lost sectors added to the Legendary and Master rotation. This is a very good way to spice things up, since the Lost sectors on the Moon and Europa are easily the best in the game at the moment. In addition, 3 new exotics are being added to the loot pool for this activity. This is the same pool that contained Beyond Light exotics like Mask of Bacchus and Necrotic Grips. We don't have any information on what these exotics will do yet, but if the ones from Beyond Light are anything to go off of, they should be very interesting. Each of the ritual activities are getting some brand new additions to the loot pools as well. There's going to be a total of 6 new weapons added, meaning 2 for Crucible, 2 for Strikes, and 2 for Gambit. Just like everything else, this is a very welcome addition, since these loot pools have been incredibly stagnant ever since Forsaken came out. Hopefully these guns turn out to be good, and give people a reason to dump those tokens they've been saving up for the past 4 years. To wrap up the section on confirmed information, we've got a few changes that will allow certain pieces of loot to be obtained a little bit easier. First of all, limited time weapons such as Felwinter's Lie, Whisper of the Worm, and Outbreak Perfected are being added to the exotic kiosk in the tower. This is in response to many players being frustrated that there are currently no way to obtain these weapons, despite them being in the game and not yet sunset. It's pretty understandable, since a gun like Felwinter's is one of the best in its class, so the fact that the gun could be used against people in trials without them having any way to get it definitely needed to be changed. Finally, Bungie has stated that Season 10 weapons are going to be obtainable through the Gunsmith starting in Season 13. Their reasoning for this being that they don't want to bog down the loot pool with weapons that are going away soon, but still want them to be obtainable in some fashion. And I'll just throw this in here, DDoS protection is coming to consoles. Probably only relevant to bigger content creators in the community, but I thought I'd include it for the sake of completeness. That about wraps it up for everything we know for sure about Season 13. Now we're going to move on to the unconfirmed section, covering some speculation and leaks that have been floating around. To kick things off, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to be getting some sort of new seasonal activity. We've gotten one with every season up to this point, so I don't expect it to change with Season 13. As to what we'll be doing, we'll likely just have to wait until we find out a little more about where the story's going, since there's a good chance it'll tie into that. We can also expect the seasonal activity to have its own loot pool as well, so having new weapons and armor to look forward to is always a good thing. I mentioned the story, and there's been a leaked cutscene floating around that is titled The Choice. I don't plan on watching it until it's officially in the game, but I know the cutscene involves an interaction between Spider and the Crow, which could have huge story implications depending on how that conversation goes. We learned at the beginning of Season 12 that Spider has tampered with Crow's ghost, rigging it to blow if he ever strays too far from the Tangled Shore. So there's a lot of unknowns here. Is Crow gonna find a way to escape Spider? Will he find more out about his past? Are we involved in this cutscene? Who knows, but it's all very exciting. Lastly, I want to bring up the potential of Vault of Glass returning to Destiny next season. Bungie has come out and stated that it will be coming back in 2021, but that's it. They haven't given us a specific timeline. As the first Destiny raid ever, Vault of Glass holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Personally, VoG was what got me hooked on Destiny, and I haven't felt the same connection to a raid since, so it's pretty understandable that people are excited and want to see it back in the game ASAP. However, I think the odds of it coming back next season are incredibly low. Deepstone Crypt is less than 2 months old, and I'm sure Bungie wants to space out raid content as much as possible so as not to condition the player base to expect too much too quickly. Also, one would assume VoG coming back would have huge story implications, and I just don't think we've built up anything near enough to drop a bombshell like that. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Season 14 is when we can expect to see VoG come back. That's everything for now, folks. Every piece of information I could find about Season 13 up until this point. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure many of you are as well. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, so like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.